Animals move in search of food, but plants don't have to search their food because they can make their own food. But does that mean that plants don't move at all? That's not true. There is movement in plants, and what we are going to study today is movement in plants. The classic example is that of the touch me not plant. You know that we touch the leaves and they fold. A very quick response. And also it is not concerned with the direction of the stimulus. What was the stimulus in this case? The touch. And what was the response? Folding of the leaves. There is another kind of movement also. You take a seed and let it germinate. A root like structure grows out of it, and that is the radicle, and the stem like portion goes up, and that is the plumule. Now there is movement, and that is why due to this movement the plant is able to come out of the soil and the roots are grow into the soil. But how does this happen? Now say if there was no favorable condition and the seed did not germinate, will the movement take place? No. So what is the conclusion? It's a growth related movement. While in the case of touch me not plant, it was not a growth related movement. So going back to our touch me not plant, what we find is that there is a site where the touch is there, the stimulus is there, and there is a site where there is response. Are these two sites same? They are not. So when the stimulus is there or is picked up at one point, how does it reach the point of response? That is what we are going to now study and understand. Transmission of stimulus is there in animals also, but it is through nervous system. Now plants don't have nervous system, they don't have muscular system. So how is this impulse transmitted? It is through electrical stimulus. And just like muscle cells, the cells of the plants change their shape. How do they change their shape? Due to the movement of water, which means when water flows into a cell, it swells. When it moves out of the cell, then it shrinks. Something like say like this. Now it is this movement of the water into the cell and out of the cell which will also cause a response, and that is what happens in a touch me not plant. If you see a leaf of touch me not plant, at the base you will find a swollen portion. This is called pulvinus. When we touch a plant, touch me not plant, then water flows out of the pulvinous cells and the cells shrink. So the leaves fold, and actually those small leaves are the leaflets because it's a compound leaf, and the entire leaf droops. This is how the movement takes place. But in the case of seeds, when we will study, we will find the movement is different. It is directional. Now the directional movements are called the tropic movements. Like in case of the movement of say a sunflower or movement of a seed. How are these two movements different? Immediately what will come to your mind is that the movement of the touch me not plant is very quick. It happens instantly. But the movement of seeds is slower. Secondly, the movement in the case of sunflower or any other movement in a plant due to sunlight or gravity of the earth, they are slower. So, basically keep in mind these two differences. You can have a table, and in that table you can keep these 2 points. The movements which are non-directional, as in case of touch me not plant, they are called nastic movements, and the other ones are called tropical movements. Nastic are non-directional. What does that mean? They are neither towards the stimulus nor away from the stimulus. The direction has no role in it to play, while tropical movements are directional. Then these movements are quick, while these movements are slow. Now, in the case of tropical movements, the stimuli can be many, like it can be light when it is called phototropic movements. Photo means light. Then gravity, and it will be called geotropic. Geo means earth. Then touch, thigmotropic. Then heat, which will be thermotropic. And the movement which is caused by the chemicals is called chemotropic. If you remember that during fertilization in flowers, the pollen grains produce a pollen tube. Now, that growth of the pollen tube or the movement caused by the growth is due to chemicals produced by the ovary. So, that is an example of chemotropism.